A warm welcome everybody to this first international session within the Dutch Sustainable Heritage Week. Today in this lunch lecture we will deep dive into sustainable historic districts, looking into what bottom-up systems change can do with the mission we all try to achieve sustainability in the heritage sector. As you can hear by the language I'm using, it is the first international section in this otherwise very Dutch week. And as they say in English, it takes a village, and it truly does, because when we renovate these historical buildings, we need to take along our citizens, we need to take along our policymakers, we need to take along our experts. So it is truly about collaboration. My name is Tom. I work for a company called De Groene Grachten, and I will be your moderator today, hosting and answering your questions as we go along the three amazing presentations that we have lined up for you. But since this is the first English section we have, I would like to give you a bit of an introduction on what the Dutch Sustainable Heritage Week actually is all about. Well, the Dutch Sustainable Heritage Week, because of obvious reasons this year it is hosted online, is a week full of inspiration where we look into the sustainable future of our heritage, of our historical buildings. And over the past days we already hosted over 10 inspiring sessions, ranging from pitching sessions that we had yesterday all the way to our international session today on sustainable historic districts, specifically bottom-up systems change. And I would also like to take this opportunity here right now to also invite you for our talk show later today at 4 o'clock, where Suze Gehem, live from Zurich City, will host the talk show session with speakers including Sanne de Koning, Jan Hielke de Jong, Ruud Kornstra, Helga van Leur, Merel Stolker, Jan Willem van der Groep, Andy van der Dobbelsteen, and Frits de Vogel. But of course, first of all, we kick off with this amazing lunch lecture, and we have three really great speakers for you lined up. First of all, we will start with Jan-Henk Tichelaar, the CEO of Rooftop Revolution, and he'll be followed by Eline Hogendijk, representing the City of Amsterdam, specifically on the Department of Space and Sustainability. And finally, we will close off with João Pedro Gouveia, who will talk a bit more about what they're doing in other parts of Europe, specifically in Lisbon, and he will be there on behalf of the University of Lisbon. Maybe some practicalities before we get started. This is obviously a live session, so we're taking this live from Amsterdam and Lisbon as we speak, and we have the opportunity to ask questions during the session. You can use the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen to place any questions you might have, and after each session I will pick up those questions and ask them to our speakers for today. Without further ado, I would like to start with our first speaker today, and that is Jan-Henk Tichelaar, CEO of Rooftop Revolution. Jan-Henk, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Tom, for this kind introduction. Yeah, my name is Jan-Henk Tichelaar. I'm the CEO of Rooftop Revolution, and Rooftop Revolution is an NGO based in Amsterdam that has a mission, and that mission is to transform roofs into nature. Our vision is that roofs are the most underutilized space in our cities, and they offer a huge opportunity to transform these cities and also to prepare these cities for a future in a different climate. Today, this session is going to be about bottom-up system change. And I'm going to be talking about the Green Light District, the historic city center of Amsterdam, because something big is happening in the historic city center of Amsterdam. Wieke, can you see my hand if I move it? Okay, great. Something big is happening here. This is known as the Red Light District, and of course, due to Corona, it has been very quiet in the otherwise far too busy city center, but it is still known as the Red Light District, but we want to transform it into the Green Light District, and that is a big challenge, but it is also a necessary challenge. And one of the bottom lines that we set to each other as partners in this project is, if we can do it here in this context, we can do it everywhere. So this is a great place to innovate and prepare cities for the future. To tell a bit more about the project, of course, I have to start with, okay, who is inside Okay. Who is inside of the project? So this is, of course, we have to start off with Climate-KIC, maybe known. It is a body of the European Union that funds sustainable initiatives focused on climate change, and they are one of the big sponsors of the project, together with the city of Amsterdam, which is also a project partner here in the Green Light District. We work together with the Technical University of Delft. They provide a lot of knowledge about sustainability. Of course, the Groene Grachten, who is Tom is the host of this session, who have a lot of knowledge on making heritage more sustainable. We have the Gezonde Stad, which translates to the healthy city, which is a bottom-up organization that wants to make the city of Amsterdam more sustainable by involving its citizens. And we have the NVZ Dijk, which is somewhat of a housing corporation. It's a party in the city center that has a lot of buildings and that has high ambition on sustainability. And of course, Rooftop Revolution, as was mentioned before. So this is the team that we're starting with, the founding partners. And of course, we are working together with a lot more people, but these are the founding partners. Where did this start? So the idea started in the very district with a kennel house of the NVZ Dijk, where the big aim was to transform that kennel house into a future-proof building with all the sustainability features that you need to make such an historic building future-proof. And this was an integrated approach where the idea took hold that this project can actually be implemented in the entire area, and it maybe should be implemented in the entire area to make it future-proof. So with that idea in mind, that goal in mind, we started working and celebrated the launch of Green Light District as we stand here in front of that first kennel house that is made sustainable also inside this initiative. Of course, if you want to work together, you need some pillars, some foundation to start from, and this is what we work from. We want to lead by example. We want to show and do. So we want to show the things that are possible and help people to follow those good examples. We want to scale up the sustainability of buildings and repeat good practices. So that's how we can move from one building to an entire area. We work from the principles of co-creation, working together with all stakeholders in an area to make better solutions. And for that, we need community activation, because in the end, of course, we are the partners that have a great idea, but the people that live in this area, that own the buildings, they are the people that have to get involved and have to make the change. And for that, you need cooperation. We work on a lot of different fields, and we have to work together to make this happen. And of course, we want to have an impact. We want real change, not just talk, but real change, actual change that matters for people. I want to dive a little bit deeper, given the theme of this session, bottom-up systems change, into the community approach. So what we're doing here is actually facilitating a movement of residents and entrepreneurs. We are involving them through community managers, people that are physically active in the neighborhood, that talk to people, that make matches between people, and that inspire people to tag along. We are committed to co-creation, as I said before, and the actions and connections that lead that arise from the co-creation. And we have ambassadors, and they are local people with their own network that have a tremendous impact on how many people we can reach and get involved. And of course, we want visibility, both in the neighborhood, and this is done with the hub that is actually situated in the neighborhood. This is the kennel house that it all started from. But also, of course, in the media, social media, but also newsletters, press. We've reached a lot of people, 2 million readers and followers in total, people that heard about this initiative. And this is also a way to make it bigger and get more people involved. We also like to work with well-known influencers to reach more people, like the Happy Activist and BN'ers. This is like very known Dutch people that have a high reach on their social media channels, for example. And we want to make smart connections with existing initiatives. So there's actually already quite a lot of people working in their own way on sustainability, sometimes with a shop, sometimes with their mindset, sometimes in their gardens. And we want to bring them together and use the energy that is already there, and together make that energy bigger. That summarizes the community approach. And of course, we were very challenged by the pandemic, the corona pandemic. We had to rethink how we were going to involve people, because we wanted a lot of events in the neighborhood with lots of people together, building energy. But we had to rethink that and redo that. And actually, we've managed to do so and build up a community in very different and very difficult circumstances. So what we did is a lot of online events, sometimes smaller events that were like corona proof, always following the measurements, the actual measurements from the government. We had consultations in the hub that I just told you about. We had an event called the Green Light Lab, that is like an accelerator program where people could pitch their ideas, and where we would have a matchmaking scheme to take those ideas further. We would be advising people that free consultations, for example, about greenery on roofs or making your house more energy efficient. And there were some spin-offs from the Green Light Districts, such as greening the Spuistraat, which is an initiative to make one of the streets in the city center a lot more green, and an actual product, the Nature Bars circular soap, that was born in the Green Light District. So now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on what Rooftop Revolution is doing here in the neighborhood. And I'm going to start on saying a bit more about what green roofs and heritage buildings, what opportunities arise. There's a lot of different green roofing systems, and as a starter, lightweight sedum. Sedum is a plant that needs very little maintenance and is, for that reason, really good on roofs. Can be implemented on almost all historical buildings with a wooden construction. It is a very lightweight package, less than 50 kilograms per square meter for the technical people around, and that is something that can be almost always done. But we do want to aim higher where it's possible, and that's why we give tailored advice, and we want to investigate what the possibilities are, and maybe add more water storage for the plants, but also for making the area more climate proof, and also biodiversity, of course, a very important topic. And what is also interesting is that the municipality of Amsterdam actually examined opportunities for solar on monumental buildings, and despite the regulation, there's still a lot of opportunity to add solar also on historic buildings following the rules. So that's already good to know. And one thing we did was mapping the area. So we built a roof opportunities map. And with this map, we looked at different types of roof use. So adding solar panels, adding green, and also adding the combination of green and yellow, as we say. So that's a green roof with solar panels, and also adding more water retention. So water retention, green and yellow. We also mapped all the roofs that already have a function, that are already used. Those are the red buildings on the map. And actually, it turned out that there is a huge potential. 16 hectares of additional greenery might be added here in the city center of Amsterdam. 6 million kilowatts of solar panels, which is a huge amount of energy, and 10 million liters of water storage can be implemented on the roofs. And the aim of the map is to actually make the information accessible to residents at building level. So people can actually go to the map and click on their building and see what we found, and then get in touch with us to ask for further advice, tailored advice on their roofs. And of course, the map can be a great thing to scale up. We actually want to build a map for the entire city of Amsterdam, or why not of the entire country, to map all the roofing possibilities and see the huge potential that lies there, and use the map to activate people to use their roof. So I want to zoom in a little bit on. I expected there to be another slide. Okay, not a problem. So I'm going to tell a little bit more about what we've been doing here in the Green Light District. So we've informed and activated. So we've reached over 1,000 people and gave them tips on how to use their roofs and explained all the benefits that it has. We've given over 20 on-site roof advices to roof owners to get started with their roof, and we've also taken further steps. Currently, we're working on 5 different projects in the area, which translates to about 3,000 square meters of green roof that we hope to realize on not too long term. And we've of course learned by doing. So we further developed our knowledge on stakeholder processes and all the bottlenecks that you might find when you work in such a complex area. The municipality, the residents, but also the implementers of the systems, and the decision making. The nudging towards a decision is a very important part of that. And what we see here and in almost all our projects on existing roofs is the split incentive. This means basically that a roof owner has some benefits from building a roof, but a lot of the benefits actually go to the neighborhood and to the city. And this is called the split incentive. It's very good that the city of Amsterdam has a subsidy for green roofs, which provides additional funding for people that actually want to realize a green roof, and that helps a lot to overcome the split incentive and like the gap between what a building owner perceives as their own return on investment and the investment itself. So subsidy schemes really help in that sense. And we've tightened the customer journey based on target groups. So you have like the individual homeowner, you have the homeowner groups, and you also have the more professional building owners, and they all need a different customer journey, a different process, and they are also like seduced in a different way, and they are triggered by different themes, and they have different obstacles to overcome. So we've really tailored the customer journey to all these different target groups. So to kind of summarize, we see some future challenges for this beautiful historic city center, and also the initiative of the Green Light District. We are a startup, and we want to go to scale up. We want to involve more partners. more building owners, more entrepreneurs, and have a higher impact. And of course, that step is always a big challenge. We have to continue invest in multi-stakeholder cooperation, keep all these different parties involved, and use their knowledge and their connections. We want to continue after 2021 because that at this point is the end date of the project that is funded by Climate-KIC. And of course, we're not done. We're only just getting started. And we see that the challenges, of course, transcend the area. And also the municipal authorities and the cities. This is the challenges that we are working on are global challenges, and at least challenges that a lot of European historical districts face. All these historical districts, they need to be made future-proof and remain attractive areas for people to live and work in a changing climate. And that is basically the challenge that we are working on, and that we hope to continue working on for the coming decades to together build these sustainable cities that we all want to live in. Thank you.
Fantastic, Jan-Henk. Very inspiring talk. Thank you very much for your contribution. We already have some questions coming in. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time, but there's one question I would like to ask you. At some point, you mentioned the roof opportunities map, which I know has been very instrumental in this program. It has published great results. You mentioned you guys want to scale up through all over the Netherlands, but of course we have some international listeners listening in today as well. Do you guys have international ambitions there, and what opportunities or restrictions you might see in scaling this all across Europe?
Yeah, we are a revolution, so of course we have international ambitions. I think we have to live up to the expectation of the name of the NGO, the organization, and this is a challenge that, as I said, a lot of European cities face, and I think a lot of European cities are still only getting started on having a vision on what they want to do with the roofscape and how they can stimulate people to get active and use their roofs to make cities more sustainable. So yeah, I definitely think that this is a great idea that can help other cities. An obstacle there that I expect is, of course, the availability of data. This is, of course, a data product, so it has to. You really rely on the availability of data and the quality of that data. And at this point, I do not have a lot of knowledge about the quality of data abroad. I know in the Netherlands quite well how good the quality is and also how we can use it. And of course, to scale up abroad, you first have to do research on what data is available and how it can be used to actually map the opportunities. But I think that is a challenge that we are very willing to take up.
Perfect. Thank you very much for answering the question. There are some other questions I see popping up in the chat. Maybe for the speakers that have been, you can also reply by text to these remaining questions. If not, we'll try to answer them later on. For now, without further ado, I would like to pass on to the next speaker, which is there on behalf of the City of Amsterdam, representing space and sustainability, also a valuable partner in Green Light District. Eline Hoogendijk, the floor is yours. Eline, just a quick technical question. If you could unmute yourself, that would be perfect. One more time, please.
Is it now working?
Perfect, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for providing me this online platform and to share with you how we work together as a city with partners in the historic UNESCO World Heritage part and especially the Green Light District project. My name is Eline Hoogendijk and I work for the City of Amsterdam on sustainability. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Amsterdam policy on sustainability and the energy. Amsterdam governing bodies have set clear ambitions to remain sustainable, conscious city. We aim to reduce carbon emissions in Amsterdam by 55% in 2030 and 95% in 2050. The city will stop using natural gas before 2040 And within the next 10 years, we plan to only have emission-free transport by road and by water. In 2050, Amsterdam will be a circular city. Everything we produce and consume will be reusable. We also want a city that copes well with the effects of the climate change, such as flooding and increasing periods of hot weather and drought, and to change of the biodiversity. To be successful on an energy transition, we have to work together. The municipality wants to speed up sustainability in the city, but cannot do it alone. This requires a different way of thinking and an effective cooperation with Amsterdammers, businesses, social organizations, and universities. It's hard to make a difference alone. As such, we also depend on the national government, the EU, to help to put in place suitable regulation and provides financial means. It's only by cooperation we can do it, and we can move in the right direction and gather enough momentum. The actions of the people of Amsterdam, that will make the biggest difference. Through waste to separating waste, using the energy saving techniques, cooking with electricity, installing solar panels on all the roofs that are suitable, or as Jan Henk just mentioned, making green roofs. Everybody who wants to work for positive change will receive support from the city. We have put on in place advice platforms, subsidies and loan funds. The City of Amsterdam is working together with the Green Light District's movement as a partner in this amazing project. Together with TU Delft, Rooftop Revolution, Gezonde Stad, NVC Dijk and the Groene Grachten, funded by all the parties and the EIT Climate-KIC. Climate-KIC is a knowledge and innovation community funded by the European Union. Since 2019, the Green Light District area has been working on community building, research, stakeholder management, and energy scans. The Green Light District is currently working on 4 big icon projects in the area. Last summer, the Deputy Mayor of Amsterdam, Marieke van Doorning, opened 2 gas-free apartments in one of the oldest streets of Amsterdam, de Zeedijk. The NVC Dijk made these 2 apartments fossil-free, with 2 different improvements. One of the apartments was with infrared panels, and one of them was with an air heat pump. This summer, the renovation of a kennel house from 1733 will have a big makeover to become a completely sustainable, future-proof kennel house. And of course, the waste will be transported by water with electric boats. From all the projects in Green Light District, we constantly learn and work together, which can be used to scale up for this city and cities all over Europe. The aim is to develop a plan for how to make an entire shopping street in the area work towards an energy neutral shopping street by 2030. This year we will start on the first streets in the area, together with entrepreneurs and partners of the Green Light District and the City of Amsterdam. I'm very curious about things we can buy there in the future and how this sustainable shopping street will look like. We are very excited now we were working on the renovation of the quays, which are the walls that support the canals in Amsterdam, and how this renovation provides opportunities for collecting thermal energy from the water of the canals. The sources of low temperature heat could be used in the pump technology to heat the nearby houses. In this task, we study for potential of the solutions and how can we work in a pilot in this area. I would like to tell you a little bit more about the heritage in Amsterdam and how this works to make it more and more clear what the rules are, what the possibilities are, and what you need to do to have a permit. We provide open sources to get information and help with permits. Here you can see the Hermitage, the museum in Amsterdam, is a very good example how to make a big museum in this heritage sustainable. One of the sources we provide are on map.amsterdam, which is a special tool to find out if your house is heritage, if it is suitable for solar panels or combined with green roofs. We have uploaded a number of maps online, which also includes the historic value. They are very nice maps to look at, because there's so much more possible than most people think. The City of Amsterdam has their commission, the CRK, and they help people and answer questions quickly or to make your house sustainable. Since 2020, permits are being improved, help is being provided, and communication about what is possible and what Amsterdammers can do with their houses. This way of working helps to speed up the energy transition. We also have this handout called Mooi verduurzamen, which means beautiful, sustainable. These are special detailed information and possibilities and solutions to improve sustainable houses. All these maps, brochures, online platform, contact numbers, and of course Duurzame Wegwijzer makes it easier for owners, real estate owners, to make their real estate future-proof. But also on the housing blocks with the heritage status owners, together with corporations, are working to install solar panels. We even have in Amsterdam a roof of the month to inspire people to work on sustainable energy. This house is called, this picture you see is called Antropodok in the city center of Amsterdam. In Amsterdam we also have the beschermde stadsgezichten, protected city views. On this map you can also find on maps.amsterdam. The yellow parts are the protected city views. Big parts of Amsterdam are protected cities, like the city center, some parts in the north, and also in the south. But still, there is more possibilities when it comes to solar panels or to make your house sustainable. The City of Amsterdam helps the owners, corporations, and businesses with their plans. In Amsterdam, we work on many projects all over Europe together with Europe, like Atelier, which is a Horizon 2020 project. Amsterdam is a lead partner in this project about positive energy districts. Reflow, also a Horizon project about circular and regenerative cities. Resilio, about green and blue roofs. Deep Demonstration, Clean and Healthy Cities, also a Climate-KIC project about making 10,000 homes sustainable at once. And of course, the Climate-KIC EIT project, Green Light District, which I just talked about. I'm done now my time, and I'm very looking forward if there are maybe some questions.
Thank you, Eline, very much for your inspirational talk. It was great to see the pictures as well of the buildings that have been retrofitted or that have been fitted with solar panels. I know you guys are doing so much, so thank you very much for your presentation. We do have some questions coming in, and the first question that I would like to share with you is a question that was asked by Monique, and she asked us, well, this community approach, right? That's rather new. And what will be your learning points of that community approach? What did you encounter that you didn't expect to happen before?
Well, this is very nice because in the old part of Amsterdam, people like maybe neighbors, they're getting to know each other much more better. I think also in Corona time. Also, the shops are working together already. So there is a platform already there, and to work together with this project on Green Light District, people will see and work more together, and also the City of Amsterdam can reach people more easy. And we like to work as a city together with all the cities of Amsterdam, all the businesses in Amsterdam. We have to do it together, as I told. And this is very nice of this area approach, that we can really see and learn. So we do it all over Amsterdam, but this is a special project because it's in the oldest part of Amsterdam. So if we learn it here, it can be learned and also scale up in other parts of the city. So we're very happy to work together on a Green Light District project in this area.
Perfect, thank you very much. Maybe a question from my side, a curiosity in that sense. Of course, we have some international guests here today, probably some representatives from other municipalities across Europe. What tip, what recommendation would you give to them?
I think for a city, it's very helpful to work with parties, work with businesses, to know what people, to work together, to so find your people, find organizations in your city. Be open, be a good partner as a city to all this, because we have to do it a lot and we can't do it alone. So this is really what I would like to say to other cities. Just find out where everybody is and how everybody is thinking about working on sustainability. It's not easy, it's new. So be gentle also about making a city sustainable.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you again for your presentation. Thank you for your valuable contribution. Sit back, relax, because we are going to look at one of those other municipalities that do exist here in Europe. We are virtually traveling to Lisbon as we speak. And then with that, I'm going to hand it over to João Pedro Gouveia, who on behalf of the University of Lisbon is going to enlighten you a little bit on what it is happening right there. And he's going to take you along other European cities as well to see how the retrofitting of our historic heritage is being done all across Europe. João, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for the invitation and for all the participants to be here to live a bit of experience of what we are doing in Portugal. So a bit different from what's happening in the Netherlands and specifically in Amsterdam. So I'd like to give kind of an overview of a few projects we have been doing in Lisbon, but also in Portugal around sustainable historic city districts. So here I'll show how exploring the case of Lisbon and a couple of projects can show and push forward the renovation wave as set by the European Commission. So my name is João Pedro Gouveia. I'm from Nova University of Lisbon, from the Center for Environmental and Sustainability Research, and we work around the topics of energy and climate connected to buildings and energy efficiency. So to set the context and to show what I'm going to present after, maybe it's important for you to understand what's happening in Portugal and the situation. So Portugal, of course, is located in southern Europe, and it's targeted one of the most likely climate impacted regions. Besides that, and bringing in European indicators where we can compare countries, we see that Portugal is the 5th country in the EU where there is the higher percentage of population unable to maintain adequately warm inside their houses in the winter and also in the summer. So Portugal, when the statistics were available, was the 2nd highest European country with the lack of thermal comfort during the summer as well. So we have this dual vulnerability, let's say. That when we see also the structure of the buildings and what's happening in the buildings, we see that 70% of our homes currently certified have low energy efficiency. So this is a standard problem at European level with some differences, but this is important in Portugal. And that coupled with a share of the total population living in dwellings with leaking roofs, damp walls, humidity. So with severe problems, not only energy-wise, but also on health perspective. So looking forward to a transformation, we all also see that at the Portuguese level, there is really low renovation rates and high energy costs for families. So this is a kind of a triangle of vulnerability combining income, energy prices, and the lack of efficiency of buildings, which brings problems of thermal comforts and energy poverty as well. So Portugal and the have set as mandate also by the European Commission several strategies that frame the transformation for the future. So we have the carbon neutrality roadmap that we have coordinated in our university as well for the government for 2050, setting ambitious targets for the long term. But we also have the national energy climate and climate plans for 2030, and more recently launched in the end of last year and last week, the long-term buildings renovation strategy, and what I was saying last week, the national energy poverty mitigation strategy. So why this is important and what's energy poverty? So at European level, this targets over 50 million Europeans, and energy poverty occurs when a household suffers from a lack of adequate energy services in their house. So it most of the times focus on heating and cooling, but it can go a bit broader on other energy services. And having that in mind and setting the scene for what we have been doing in the last 4 or 5 years, we have developed this energy poverty vulnerability index where we map all Portuguese regions. So this is a really high innovation, a new method where we can use this for 3,092 regions, highlighting specific locations, municipalities at the level of civil parish, which is below the municipality, where we bring together several indicators and analysis. So the climate regions in the country, over 260 building typologies, We have 500,000 energy performance certificates that we integrate in our tool, combining with energy consumption and several socioeconomic details. So this allows to identify really hot spots for local action, so where municipalities and the partners can go and try to focus their priority for change. So this brings also us to a local scale perspective on trying to set the transformation, as also framed by at the European level, to look into cities and districts. As was also presented for the Netherlands and Amsterdam specifically, there is a diversity of problems that are cross-cutting several historic districts in the European Union. But in this project I'll talk about, we focus on Mediterranean cities. So with more climate features and adaptation challenges, maybe low presence of green areas, and the climate does not allow really for an uptake of such solutions, probably in some locations. High gentrification levels and tourism dependence, of course, before this pandemic situation, that was the case, a loss of sense of community spirit, and also, as happening in other European cities, the limitation to implement energy efficiency measures and to use renewable energy sources in some historical buildings and locations. So said that, we set in joint forces with several other partners at the European level, so Mediterranean cities, for this PAS-EIT Climate-KIC funded project, the SUSHI project. Not about food, it's about transforming the city. So it's really on this collaborative approach to taking integrated action towards the transformation of this city. So Alfama is a district in Lisbon, one of the oldest districts in Lisbon, Nicosia in Cyprus, Ptu in Slovenia, Sassari in Savona in Italy, and Valletta in Malta, where we worked together during two years and a half. So the project ended in December 2020. So for this presentation, I'll focus a bit on our work in Alfama in Lisbon. So Alfama is located near the riverside, near the Tagus River. And why it's really important to focus at the district scale, at neighborhood scale? Because from our thinking, it provides important scale for accelerating urban regeneration, as we are seeing also in Amsterdam with the Green Light District, but are small enough to innovate, to bring stakeholders together, to leverage catalytic investment and influence public policy. So as a case study for a larger uptake of the solutions. So for that, we promoted we tried to promote an holistic approach, trying to make the district more sustainable, resilient to climate, more inclusive to the citizens through social change, multi-level participatory processes, and innovative integrated solutions. So our ultimate goal was also to set the scene and to plan a transformation plan for the historical district, from a vision to implementation. And this is important because we were able to bring stakeholders doing several parts of the process. It's also, of course, integrated with the SDG 11 on sustainable citizen communities, which brings the need for change and for the transformation. So for that, this is the kind of working end product. Of course, it never ends the transformation, as also Jens said for the Netherlands. So we set the scene and divided our work in 3 stages for co-designing this neighborhood transformations plan. So first was around the vision to a plan. So we identified challenges, we created a shared vision, we defined the values we wanted for the city or the neighborhood. We collected a first round of knowledge, trying to explore potential approaches and ideas, because of course, during a limited time frame and budget, we cannot cover all sectors and all the parts that need transformation. So that allowed us to move to stage 2, where we planned and tested for implementation. So picking a couple of examples of projects to develop and to test what can be the connection with stakeholders, what can be the financing schemes and business models, and then for moving forward to the implementation phase itself, to create the strategic partnerships for the future, understanding what could be the forward funding and activities to be done to really leverage our previous activities. So in yellow in this graph, you can see where were the stakeholders engaged during the process, and also what 2 topics we chose for the last year of analysis. So it was around positive energy districts, and then also of a transformation of public spaces with some activities on both. So just for your understanding, so we set these values and visions for the district of Alfama. So as a vision, we said that we wanted, and the stakeholders said, a sustainable and a healthy Alfama for all. So it's not only about environment, it's also about health and that process. And also we wanted these 5 values. We envisaged these 5 values. So inclusive, authentic, resilient, creative, and with empowerment of stakeholders. So bringing everybody together for this transformation. That said, we, at the first and the early stages of the project, we also try to identify, because that also kind of maps the activities for the future transformation. So what were the root causes identified by stakeholders? And you can see on the left a couple of activities we had in the districts. So to identify what are the current challenges, so the roots of the tree, let's say, and then what could be possible transformation projects, and then consequences. So how this affects the population, and what can be possible projects, so around mobility, around nature-based solutions, or about local food productivity and supply, and about sustainable economy and the commerce in the area. So that was what kind of set the background of our work as well at the SUSHI project, and maybe driving also future projects. So on the technical aspects and on what we focus on the last year for Alfama was around this perspective of exploring the potential of an historical district to be a positive energy district. So what we have seen is that the current projects mostly focus, try to target new neighborhoods and new solutions for new neighborhoods. So that's kind of, it's not easy, but it's easier than doing that for historical districts. So we try to explore what can be the different components and drivers for change and for understanding really the problem and the solutions into this perspective. So we had an extensive assessment of stakeholders and interviews to better understand the problems and the solutions. We went for the understanding of what was happening at the regulation and policy context in the city and in the neighborhood, what were the limitations, what we could explore. Then, of course, there was this big part of knowledge acquisition. So we need to transform a city. We need to know what's happening, what can be the potential for change. So there was this technical analysis on the potential for energy efficiency and solar integration in the district of Alfama. And then, of course, to make this sustainable for the future and to make the change really happening, we needed to understand the financial schemes and the business models potentially available to do this transformation, which is not always that easy. So just for you to have a feeling of what we had as a result, and in the left you can see Alfama and the river behind, but we got a really deep assessment and mapping of the district subsections, so statistical subsections, so at the neighborhood smaller than a neighborhood level. So Alfama has over 100 locations like this, so you can see on the map, and we have dozens of maps assessing the heating needs, the cooling needs, the scenarios. We tested scenarios for retrofitting of walls, of windows and rooftops, and also trying to understand what could be the potential of integrating decentralized solar PV at the rooftop level. So what would be the investment cost, what would be the production of electricity, using and testing different technologies, building integrated PV, panels at the roof, and also at the facade level and windows. So we tested a diversity of solutions to see which solutions best fit the historical district and what it means as an impact on energy needs reduction, and also on the electricity generation potential for solar. So overall, in the SUSHI project, we were able to do over 30 events. We engaged 700 people in workshops, seminars, citizens outreach, and events. And we were able to during last year, we were fed really the local policy. So we submitted a chapter. We provided a chapter to the Municipal Housing Chart of Lisbon for the Department of Urban Planning, where we mapped Lisbon on energy poverty for summer and winter vulnerability. So another project that kind of follows this path of transformation that we want mostly for the country. So we first understand the problem around the problems of energy efficiency and energy poverty in the country. Then we're trying to look deeper to a city. And then with this project funded by the PAS-EIT Climate-KIC that was running last year, we joined forces with the Groningen, and then Ezavor in Slovenia, and us in Portugal, to get 3 different locations in different contexts with different consumption patterns, building typologies, climates, of course, and socioeconomic differences, to test what can be the potential for a retrofitting economy, and to develop a tool that I'll show. Maybe some of you know it, that exists in the Netherlands. So this is the green menu. So the tool has been developed in the last years from Groningen, available in Dutch. So during this project, we brought this to different European countries. So we tested it for Portugal, and we have a Portuguese version of it, and also for Slovenia. So now the tool is available in 3 regions in the Netherlands, 23 Dutch municipalities, 3 countries, so Portugal, Slovenia, and the Netherlands, and 4 languages. We also have English version of it. It includes 11 building typologies, which shows also the diversity at European level, and can be scaled in the future for other regions and buildings. So this is just to showcase the different typologies of buildings. We see in the left Portugal, the Netherlands, and Slovenia, and the tool is and the website. So we have 3 running websites in the different languages. The tool is really useful for reaching out to the citizens. I can say it's really an important tool for the renovation wave, and to assist different types of stakeholders. Of course, it cannot reach everybody, but it has a wide spectrum of impact. And it has information about, in Portugal, for example, over 100 measures for different end uses and energy services. It has financing opportunities, regulation limits. So it's really comprehensive, and I recommend you to get and to find the 3 versions to see the differences as well. So this perspective, and to conclude on my presentation, our work as an university is a bit different from a municipality and the NGO, of course, but besides the research, we really wanted, and that was my vision also for the work we have been doing in the last 5 years, let's say, on this topic, is around going and connecting to the citizens and doing the outreach and social impact of our activities. So we have been able to support local and national authorities in plans, in national plans, in city plans. So this is really important also for the tools to be helpful for the citizens. But as you can see here, this is only a few really of the impact we have having in newspapers, in the main newspapers in Portugal. On the left, you can see news about energy poverty, our energy poverty work, the mapping in Alfama in the bottom left, and then on the right, one interview for the television, Portuguese TV, and then a thematic magazine on buildings around what we have been doing in the energy, the green menu work, and the menu de renovação verde in Portuguese for our country. So thank you very much, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, João. Perfect. Very inspiring presentation. What sticks with me is such different socioeconomic context that makes such a big difference in the approach you take. In terms of these collaborations, which I see is key in all the previous speakers' presentations as well. We started off with Jan Henk talking a bit from the sort of NGO or business perspective, then Eline came with a more of a government perspective, let's say, and you come from a university perspective. But sort of all these perspectives need to come together in sort of what is called a knowledge triangle, which, you know, is easier said than done because it asks for maybe quirky collaborations, let's say. What will be your recommendation from, let's say, the university perspective, if listeners, other stakeholders, people would like to initiate such projects? How would you connect? How would you find each other to set up something like this?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. So it's interesting because Portugal is more or less the same size as the Netherlands, so it's not really a matter of the size. But what we have seen as a university, we have several European projects going on and national projects. Is really important to connect with the different stakeholders. So I would say that in most of our projects, we connect either with a city or responsible of a region, so a community of cities, or for the local and regional energy agencies, for example, in Portugal, are also key players for transformation. So it's important to not bring like teams of universities or only research centers. It's important to connect with the private sector for the implementation part. It's really critical, and that's what we found also on these projects, to connect with cities, because that's the ones that can set the regulation, that can make transformation happen. So it's important to bring them in the beginning of the project, in the beginning of the ideas, also to create this synergies with the existing projects. So of course, some cities are already doing a lot of activities on sustainability, as we've seen in Amsterdam as well, and Lisbon is also a really lively city in transformation projects and sustainable projects. So it's really trying to connect and do that extra effort in the beginning of all the processes to bring all the players together for this transformation at different levels.
Brilliant, thank you very much for answering that question. With that, we come to the end of this session. First of all, Jan Henk, João, Elena, thank you so much for your contribution and your inspiring presentations today. Once again, thank you as well to everybody that tuned in on this session today. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for joining this international section in the Sustainable Heritage Week. Before we go to the end, I would like a big shout out to all the partners, everybody that contributed to these sessions. Thank you very much for making all of this possible. And finally, before we close off, bear in mind that a summary of this session will be made possible at www.duurzamerfgoed.nl. And before we close off, final comment on my side, please do tune in for the talk show later today at 4 o'clock live from Sugar City with our host, Suze Gehen. It will be fantastic if you can join. Thank you very much for joining today and have a great afternoon.